Cold War is finally ended, special thanks to the people who stood tall against tyrants.
The world had just witnessed an ending. Walls had fallen, empires had collapsed, and ideologies had burned out. The Cold War was over. Humanity celebrated peace. But in the
Happy
east,
New Year to all.
behind the
United States
mountains,
of America.
beyond
May
the
we all stand
headlines,
together
a
and
nation
grow together.
watched quietly. A nation once broken by war, poverty, and isolation. A land carrying 5,000 years of civilization and unshaken pride. While the world looked west, China began to rise in the shadows. A silent transformation was beginning. One that would change the 21st century forever. The year was 1991. The Berlin Wall had fallen. The Soviet Union had dissolved. The world believed the age of superpower rivalry had ended. The United States stood tall, the unchallenged symbol of freedom and capitalism. But far across the Pacific, another story was quietly beginning. China, a nation that had endured centuries of imperial decline, foreign invasions, and internal struggle, was watching, learning, and waiting. Its people had known hardship, famine, and isolation. Yet behind that silence was determination, the kind that grows not in comfort, but in survival. While the world celebrated the victory of the West, the East prepared for something else, a rebirth. The storm had passed, but in its calm, the foundations of a new global era were being built. In 1978, a man named Deng Xiaoping stood before the Chinese Communist Party and declared, "It doesn't matter whether a cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice." With that single phrase, he began dismantling decades of isolationist policies. China began opening to the world, not all at once, but cautiously, strategically. In the countryside, farmers were allowed to sell their crops. In coastal cities, special economic zones were created, tiny laboratories of capitalism within a communist state. The West saw opportunity, cheap labor, vast markets, a new frontier. The East saw survival, a way to lift millions from poverty. Factories replaced farmlands. Old traditions blended with modern ambition. It was not just economic reform, it was a national awakening. The dragon had opened its eyes, and it was hungry. By the 1990s and early 2000s, three words began appearing on every product around the world: made in China. What began as small assembly lines turned into industrial megacities. Millions of workers filled endless rows of machinery, producing everything from plastic toys to cutting-edge electronics. Cargo ships left Chinese ports by the thousands, carrying goods to every continent. In just 2 decades, China transformed itself from a rural economy into the manufacturing hub of the planet. For the rest of the world, it was efficiency and affordability. For China, it was transformation, an escape from poverty and a leap into modernity. The heartbeat of globalization now echoed from Chinese factories. But progress never comes without a price. Beneath the shining skylines, millions worked endless hours, assembling a future they might never fully share. Cities grew faster than the air could clear. Rivers darkened. The skies dimmed. The cost of industrial glory was measured not just in money, but in breath. Yet, among the smog and smoke, there was pride. Pride in building something larger than themselves. Generations of workers sacrificed comfort for growth. Their hands built the empire. Their sweat powered its rise. the world applauded China's progress. Few paused to see the human cost behind the miracle. The new century brought a new China, confident, connected, and commanding. In 2008, Beijing dazzled the world with the Olympics, signaling its arrival as a modern superpower. Chinese companies began investing across Asia, Africa, and Europe. The Belt and Road Initiative promised to reconnect the ancient Silk Road with the modern world. Meanwhile, a digital revolution took root. Homegrown tech giants emerged, dominating e-commerce, digital payment, and social media. The China that once copied the world was now innovating for it. And for the first time in modern history, globalization no longer had just one face, it had two.
The only power in world and global trade power no one can compare to us. U.S. will stand tall all the days.
我们可以一起名噪，所以要彼此支持，听而不此支持。
But every rise challenges an order. As China's power grew, so did unease in Washington. Trade disputes erupted, sanctions followed, and tariffs turned into weapons. The United States, once the architect of globalization, now saw itself threatened by its own creation. This was not the Cold War of missiles and ideology. This was a digital war, fought in markets, data, and supply chains. Microchips replaced missiles. Influence replaced occupation. Two giants stood face to face once again, each shaping the future of a connected, divided world. Today, China stands as both mystery and mirror, reflecting the strengths and flaws of modern civilization. Its story is far from over. It is the story of ambition and sacrifice, of innovation and control. Will China's rise bring a more balanced world or a new global tension? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: history doesn't end. It only changes hands. From isolation to influence, from silence to supremacy. This is the story of the rise of China. The story of China is not just about power. It is about patience. It is about a nation that endured a century of humiliation, only to stand at the center of the world once again. From dusty villages to neon cities, from bicycles to bullet trains, from silence to strength. But every rise reshapes the balance of the world. The question now is not how China rose, but what comes next. The future remains unwritten. The dragon is still flying. Histify world, where history meets the present.